here I stand aboard an older Bayliner that has got a Seastar steering system in it. There's a typical hydraulic pump that you're used to at the helm. I added this not too long ago, which is a PA1200. It creates a power assist situation because we've got a newer Mercury, newer than the motor that came on the boat when I bought it, but I kept the old hydraulic helm system here. So that is a Seastar 5348, which is a little bit unusual. And if we come around and look a little more closely, we see a blown out seal on that end. The other one's starting to go bad. The rest of the story is that when I bought this motor to repower, the motor did not swivel well on the pivot. It didn't swivel hardly at all. We worked on it, freed it up, but it's still with resistance. The question of the hour is, did these seals break down just because they're old seals? Did they break down because of the power steering fluid that used to be in the system when I bought it? Somehow affected the quality of those seals, just age, oil, or the resistance that this motor gives every time you turn your steering wheel, or when I hit the stops, the boost of pressure coming from that power steering pump exceeding what these seals can handle. All these interesting questions, we're not quite sure. So I have a new set of seals that I'm getting ready to put into this thing. I'm going to try to capture some of the process, and then we'll see where this goes from here. Well, here's the next chapter in this old boat. If you take notice here, I've already removed the arms off of this, which comes off with moderate amount of resistance. Not too bad. And then you'll also notice that I've got one new cap on there already, and we've still got the old one over here. So it was rather easy to do, actually. In the kit that I purchased, we have the miscellaneous parts, of course, and among it was this C-clamp, or this what I call it, crow's foot or something. Anyway, so it's got the two pins, goes onto my ratchet. I like it better than trying to deal with a wrench. And when I was able to put it right on there, with a little bit of effort, they came loose very easily, and then hand thread right off. Before you put the new one back on, you want to use this that also came with the kit. It slides right over the end and prevents you from damaging the seals on the shoulder or the threads of sliding it back on there. Some of the kits didn't even have that in there. Most of them do, but you definitely want to have that so as not to destroy the seal. Something else interesting that came from my Facebook group, adding all their comments, is that the newer, better seals have this Viton type seal on there as opposed to the old school urethane ones. So even the OEM still comes with the urethane. So one of the guys was saying go to 5-Star Marine online and buy theirs. They brag on the Viton. This one said, well, first off, when I bought it, it is OEM generic, made in Canada. Of course, Seastar is made in Canada, and they in their advertisement they said better than OEM. So maybe it is already the Viton. I don't know. If it blows apart again, I'm definitely going to go to 5-Star and get theirs instead. So anyway, one side is on, now it's snugged up. I'm going to finish the other side here and see what happens. Well, here is my next phase of what's taking place here. And what we see is I've got the new caps in, all tightened up. I've got the arms all reinstalled, all tightened up. And you can see my bleeder stuff is already attached there. I've already bled both sides of it. This murkiness is from leftover from the ATF, the red ATF that was in here when I started out. And I believe, I know I'm putting in clean oil now, but I believe it's just kind of worked into the system. But everything seems to be fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through my bleeding process on this system. As I started with we have got our helm pump. Everybody's got one of those. And then we've got the power steering assist pump, which is my add and quite common for the larger or multiple motors. And then, of course, we've got the hydraulic cylinder on the motor. So my step 1, 2, 3. First, you can see my bottle that's connected here. I've got it hanging from the canopy. And now that's disturbing right there. I'm all parked. I think I'm bled, but here's air bubbles working out of the system. So this is not good. Watch this here. If I come in here and do a little bit of a wiggle jiggle, see if we get a bubble to come out. Okay, not now. Maybe that was just a little freakish thing in that reservoir there. But getting this connected, being sure that tube is entirely full the whole time. We come over here, and on this pump there is a little bleeder right here, and so that is a bleeder. And the first thing you do is to bleed from the helm pump to this pump, motor off. So the electric motor on the pump is off. And I had a bottle attached to a hose there, and I pumped it until I had nothing but fluid coming, no more air bubbles. Then I close that one up. I come back here. I put one on each side of the pump back here, as you see, and then opening up the one on the left and turning the wheel to the right. I give it 20 turns, and I pumped a little less than a quart through the system, no more bubbles. Then I did the same thing on the other side. So that's where we are right now. My next step is to, well, right now, let's see here. The electric is on. I've got my power steering assist pump on that switch right there. And so turn the wheel, and the motor is turning. So yes, everything is functional. But sad news is that when it was all apart, I could not rotate the motor freely. So I'm afraid that my swivel pin is corroded up from the previous owner, and I'm going to have to go on a deep dive here if I'm going to repair that. So if I blow another one of these seals here, that's going to be the time I want to take it apart. In the meantime, I lubricate it every other time I take it out, and hope that that grease works in through and somehow my situation loosens up. Mission accomplished, I hope. Well, my last video in the series, I was able to capture most all of my oil. It didn't lose just a couple of drops into the drink, and we're all installed here and everything's functional. But I'm going to show you my dysfunction here in a second, because it's on. And here is how it moves. You can see it kind of move in a herky-jerky fashion. You might even hear it, but the resistance of the swivel pivot is extreme, and even though everything's working well, it's not up to par for me. I'm going to have to do something more. And observation is that the pump is rated to operate at 1,000 pounds, 2,000 psi max. So it's 1,000 pounds. Okay, the cylinder on the motor is rated at 1,500 psi. Period. So, in other words, when I hit the end of the stop, when I'm going along, if I hit the end of the stop of the swivel, then it might get a burst up to 2,000, which means that'll pop that out. And then the continued resistance of the swivel not working properly, that can also add my problems. So, do I expect the seal to blow out again? Probably. And when I do, it's going to be a tear down and removing the pivot tube, and that's just a monster job I'm going to try to avoid. Anyway, success as far as we go. Thanks for watching.